it is quite cumbersome to check the values from two big data sheets, which one is different, how it is changed, and so on. Let's get rid of this pain point by using VBA. This is our example. The data looks like this in the first column. In the second column, unfortunately, the order is different. In between, we have empty cell here and here, and also the total number of column is different in two sheets. However, if you go to deep here, if you press this button, automatically it calculates the differences between two big data sheets. In each sheet, you can see which one create the differences, and second sheet as well. Go back to result sheet. You can see reset button. Press this button, everything back to previous stage. So all the changes parts are gone now. This is what we are going to do as first part. The second part is, here I prepare a small example for demonstration. When you have two different columns, we are going to check inside of the column which one is existing, which is not existing in other columns. Let's press the button here. As you can see, computer 7, which is not existing the other column, therefore it highlighted it here. In the other column, you can see HTC2 is not existing other column, therefore it highlighted it here as well. If you go to deep column sheets, you can see the summary of what has been changed as well. Let's go one step further. I prepared this column, same as previous one, however, it has additional column as well. Let's press button how it changed it. As you can see here, you find the differences and also the corresponding one highlighted it as well. In same manner, in the result sheet, you can find the summary of what has been changed it together with corresponding price as well. Let's start it. Let's start with defining range. Start with raw data. Header row will be like this. Column row will be like this. Cell row will be each cell in this data set. In case of new data, header new will be here. Column new will be each column. Cell new will be each cell in this data. Next, let's think about how we can compare. We will looking at headers first, then comparing it, find the same column. If it is the same, then we compare these two columns. After completing it, moving to other columns. That's the whole idea of our algorithm. In order to do that, we need to find the function. It is a range object. It has a lot of parameters. In detail, only one part is required, which is a search word. However, we are going to use look in and look at as well. The next function is for each next statement. The main idea is under this range, we will check each cell and then we give certain action here. After that, moving again. That's how it works for looping. So let's start it. When you download practice file, raw data set like this, new data set like this. In addition, we have div sheet. Here we are going to put result, and also I already defined raw data header and new data header. If you click here, you can see range row. I already give name. If you click here, you can see range new, which means that if you go new data, so it's simply representing up to here A to I column. In case of raw data, it's from A to Z column. Let's start it. Alt F11. You can go Visual Basic Application Form. Go to Insert Module. Typing sub, give a name, compare two data sheets, and enter button. automatically ends up is creating it. Now we are going to define the range. Let's define the worksheet first by using this name. We can put dim raw data as worksheet and new data, dim new data worksheet, div as worksheet. After that, let's set this worksheet raw data equal to worksheet called this name raw data. So the idea is like this. So we defined AAA, which is dim AAA. After that, we link this AAA to something else, which is like set AAA equal to something. So go back. In the same manner, we can define new data as well. New data, this workbook sheet, new data. In the same manner, we can define the div as this workbook sheet div. Let's define the header row. So dim header as range. In the same manner for header new as well. In case of headers, we are going to use information from sheet. Therefore, we need a string variable as well. Go back. We can define like this. So remember, this is a range row. Put colon here. Put the range row, which we define is equal to div sheet. And then the defined name box is applied in it. In the same manner, we can define range new as well. Colon range new is equal to div range new, which is that value. Before to go further, for example, we have this coding. Let's say this is A, this is B. Normally we are reading B become A. However, in VBA, it has to go this way. A become B. So this part become this one. Remember from right and left. Let's go back. So define the value on sheets going to be range row and range new. The next step is we have to set header row. So we can put set header row is equal to raw data sheets range row, which is that one. Raw data set that range. In the same manner, we can set header new as well. New data sheet and the range, which is this range. The next step is we are going to define the column row. Here we can say dim column row as range, dim column new as range. And also we need the dim different count as long, colon, and then initializing as 0. So we can also define cell row and cell new as well. Cell row as range, cell new as range. Let's start with the looping part by using for each statement. For each cell row, our cell going to be moving it where in header row part, in upper part. Then we have to put next cell row as well, right? The next part is finding corresponding headers in the second sheet, which is new data. So we say set cell new equal to header new point find function, which we learned. Then the searched word gonna be cell row values, which is the one we are finding here, comma. After comma, we are going to add in look in and look at. Here, look in is going to be values. Look at means exactly same value as cell row value. After finding same header name in second data, we can apply if not statements. Normally, if not statement is used for exception cases. Go back to here, we can add and if as well. The short summary of what we done so far is following. First, we defined all three worksheets and also defining all ranges up to here. And then we started looping part by using if for statements. After that, by using find function, we find the same header value in second sheet. What we are going to do is, after finding this, going to compare these two columns. Go back. Let's set up the column. So set up column row is equal to row data point used range columns inside cell rows point column. The meaning of columns means that just grab the information of column in specific sheet. For example, we have this sentence. This column 1 means column A, and then we applied all information in column A going to be bold. Once again, grab the column information is columns property. So it means that we just simply row data sheets column row going to be column row. In the same manner, we can say column new data sheets cell new column will be column new. After defining column row and column new, let's creating grouping to comparing it. Once again, we are going to use for each statement. So in the column row, which is we define here, then we find one selected cell. Then we are searching a selected cell. This is looping. We need the next selected cell. So inside, we are going to compare. If selected cells from column row is not equal to column new cells selected cell point row value, then let's highlight them. I will give selected cell point interior color VD red, means the color going to be red. Then the font color going to be this one, which means yellow. So I put comment here. Let's highlight it, the other sheet as well. So just copy up to here, Control C, Control V. From here to here, Control C, Control V. In the same manner as above, so we can give same name, but in new data sheet. Then let's increasing the div count from 0 to 1. The next idea is I want to put the different value into div sheet. So I move here. Original value is here, and then changed value is here. So let's do it. Then we can say div range column A equal to value, and we put sheet information row data point name. Just copy up to here, Control C, Control V, column B. We are going to put the selected cell address, cell location information. Control C here, Control V. In column C, we are going to have actual value. Then I will give arrow in between. I copy entire straight line again. Control V. Here is E, F, G. Here gonna be new. For below, up to here, Control C, Control V, Control V. Then we have to close this if statement and if. Next step is let's display the message of the number of differences. We can put message box, div count, differences found, and VB information. We are done now. Go back to sheet. Click compare button. Assign macro. Select this one. Okay. So let's have a look. This raw data and this. And then I will push the button. Then it shows raw data sheet, this value change into that value, and some values are changing like here. So it's working. New data, you can see some of them. the changes are highlighted. In case of raw data, also it does happen. As next step, let's creating reset function. So in case of deep sheet, these differences will be disappearing like this. And in case of raw data and new data, the highlighted one go back to original format as before. Let's go back to VBA, Alt F11, go to Insert tab, click Module. We have a second module, Sub, and give a name. I will give you Reset Highlight Cells, Enter button. And Sub is automatically creating it. We have to define worksheet again. Go back to previous one. Let's just copy it from here to here. Control C, go back to module 2, Control V. In case of worksheet, it will be exactly the same. We don't need header, so we can delete this part. In case of range row, we need to change because go back to sheet. Here we applied data headers only, but what we are going to do is actually entire data sets. Therefore, we have to modifying it. In case of range row, we just adding new range like this. So go back to sheet, basically A1 to G6. In the same manner, for range new, we will give this range, which means from A1 to I6. Then we need one more range, which gonna be highlighted cells. So we can start grouping now. So let's use for each, then highlighted the cell where in range row. This is for statements, therefore we need the next as well. Inside of looping, what we are going to do is to check the cell field color, whether it's red or highlighted one or not. In order to do that, let's use if statement. If highlighted color, then go back to module 1, take the same format, Control C, module 2, Control V, then put end if first. We will reset the color to no fill. Just copy up to here again, Control C, Control V, then color index equal to Excel none. Let's reset the font color as well. Highlight the cell font color equal to RGB 000, which is black. Select here, tab, remove the space. So we already complete for resetting for range row, which is raw data. Let's create for range new as well. Before to go, I just found one problem in code. So here, this doesn't including worksheet information. Therefore, we have to change a bit here. I will add raw data, which is sheet information, and then close the bracket. We defined sheet and then range. Now I'm copying from here to here. Control V again. This part for range new. So here going to be new. Here also going to be new. The rest will be the same. Let's test it whether working or not. Go back to sheet. Click the reset button with the right hand mouse button. Go to assign macro. Select reset highlighted cells. Okay. I will press the button, but before that, let's see whether this is changing or not. I will clicking it. Now this become resetted. Go back here. We have to clean this part. So I guess we need to run again for seeing it. So we are going to delete this part. Let's go back to VBA. Here we are going to making it. So that's gonna be clearing contents in deep sheet. That's gonna be deep worksheet A2 to G20. then clear the contents, which means that from A2 to C20 will be deleted. In the same manner, you can create this range and name boxes and so on. But for now, I will just use it hardcode range in this tutorial. But you can change like this as well. Then let's test it whether this part is also working or not. Go back to sheet, press the button, completely gone now. And here as well. So we complete the reset part as well. Up to now, what we've done is we compare two different sheets and looking at the column and we see the inside differences like this. However, it doesn't look it up actually inside of column content. So as next step, let's have a comparison inside of two columns, how we can compare. I prepared these two sheets. If you go product, let's say we have these two data sets, column A and column C. We will compare inside whether same values are there or different values are there. And we will printing the differences in div column sheet. Let's go back to VBA. Let's create a new module. Go to Insert, click Module. Then we have a new module. Let's give a name like compare to column and enter. We have ensub as well. In the same manner, we are going to define multiple variables. So as a starting, we create the dim column 1 and 2 as a range. Go back to sheet. Let's this call the original data. This call the updated data. Go back. We can define dim original data as variant, updated data as variant. So the next one is we have to see the last row of column. Therefore, we need the last row. So we can define dim last row. As indicator, we need the row num as well. For printing the differences of columns in div column sheet, we also need the new variables. So we can define div column 1, div column 2. After defining the name, we have to set them into something. So here, original data is A column, updated data is C column. Therefore, we can give set column 1 is column A, column 2 gonna be column C, right? The next step is the last row. So we can say last row is equal to, let's go back to sheet. So the idea gonna be like this. Our last row is equal to worksheet function max between column 1 and then row counting and Excel up, comma, second column, which is updated data, row counting, and then Excel up, bring row value, which means that basically if you click here, go down to the end, from here, Control Shift direction up key, and it goes up to the last row which has a value in the cell. So it brings 7. In case of column C, it's gonna be 9. And they compare the max value between these two. That's what we are going to implementing it. Go back to VBA, worksheet function point max. And then we put column A and column C Excel up value. Column 1, cells rows counting with 1, comma 1. Then Excel up, but what we need is actually row information, point row. Then we need the second part, comma, column 2, close the bracket, and enter. Now we define the last row. The next step, we are going to start grouping part. In this case, we are using for statement. So for the row num is equal to 2 and until the last row. The reason 2 means we have to consider header part. The next part is let's define original data and updated data. For original data equal to cells from row num row information, and then column 1, which is column A, and the column information, which is gonna be original data. In case of updated data, exactly same format. So cell, which is bring row information and column information. Column 2 gonna be column C. Select these two, tap, and we got here. In case of a for statement, we need next statement as well. It's gonna be next row num. When row num change up to last row, something will looping inside. The next part is we are going to check if original data is in updated data. Here I will use if statement. If original data is not equal to, this means not equal to empty cell, then it means that they have a value in their cell. In case of if statement, we need and if as well. If there is value in the cell, then we will do something. What we are going to do is finding the differences between two columns, right? For that reason, I will use match function. Match function is application point match original data, comma, column 2, which is column C value. 0 means exact value. If there is no matched value, then this code return error. Therefore, we have to cover up that error part. Let's use isError, close the bracket. We need another if statement for this part. We can say if something this, then, and if, selecting here, tap. In other words, if something is not matching, something will happen inside this part. In the same manner as previous exercise, let's give a color. This time I will give yellow color. So the formula gonna be row information is this and column information is this cases. We give yellow color. Let's increasing div column 1 as well. Printing them into div column sheet. So div columns, cell div column, which is coming from here. First column is the location. The value gonna be original data. We complete the original data part. We can also apply this idea to updated data as well. Simply Control C, Control V. This part gonna be updated data, right? Here also updated data. Here will be column 1. Here gonna be column 2, deep column 2, deep column 2. Here also deep column 2. Here gonna be updated data. So I will remove space here. We already complete the coding. Let's check whether it's working or not. Go back to sheet. First, copy these two, Control C, deep column. I will copy and paste it here. I will create a new button by using previous buttons. I will select the compare two columns. Okay, let's check it. So perfectly showing the differences as expected. In case of the result sheet, it also shows here nicely, but something is incorrect. Let's go back to VBA code. I think it's coming from this line, so we have to go with the third column, right? 1, 2, 3. Let's change this into 3. We have to increasing row num for header here, +1. Here also +1. Let's go back. Select here, no color. Let's test it again. Press the button. So color changed correctly. Here also correctly presenting the differences. Up to now, we quickly updated two columns inside contents and printing the value. Let's extend it one step further. What if we have multiple columns? Let's say two columns from here, original data and price, updated data and price. how are we going to check these cases? Let's implement this as well. For two column comparisons, I prepared this example and also result sheet as well here. The idea is once we push the button, it shows the differences in this sheet and also in results section as well. So let's build it. Alt F11. I already prepared compare four column section. The first thing we copy from previous module. Go back here. I will copy inside. Control C. Go back here. Control V. Before we have two columns only, but this case is we need four columns. Here we can add it column 3 and 4. Control C this one. Control V. Here also price. For this part, we also need third and fourth one. Here going to be 3. That's gonna be 4. This one also we need more. Control V. So if go back to sheet, it's gonna be A, B, D, E. Here 3, 4. A, B, D, E. For last row, we are going to compare with A and D, right? So the first one is unchanged, but here we have to change it. There's gonna be column 3. Inside of looping, we also extended 2 more lines here. Control V. This gonna be price. That gonna be price. Updated data gonna be 3. Original price going to be 2. That gonna be 4. In this case, we consider only empty cell or not in original data, but also we have to consider original price as well. So end price, this part is required. If there is value in the cells, then we go inside. So here we are going to compare with third column, which is updated data. So this part gonna be 3. For highlighted part, we have to extend it as well. Control C, Control V here. This gonna be original price 2, original price, right? Result also has to be extended. Control C, Control V. When you go back to sheet, our sheet name has been changed. Therefore, we also changed it in VBA as well. We put here 4 and 4. The first one is original data. Second one will be original price. Location of column going to be second one. If you go back to sheet, first, second column, fourth and fifth gonna be updated data and price. Go back. Accordingly, we can extend it here as well. I will speed up. Now we extended it. Let's test it whether it's working or not. I already linked here as well. So I will press the button. Then automatically it shows differences of original data and corresponding price as well in both pairs. Let's check result part. It also correctly showing the differences as well. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.